was that? Never mind that. What was that?
Hi.
Who are you?
Barf.
Not in here, mister. This is a Mercedes.
Nah, that's my name. Barf.
Barf? What are you?
And here we go, BARFF Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Brian the Commish, joined in the studio tonight by the co-host of the show and owner of Born to Run, Walt's here tonight. How are you, Walt?
I'm good. I'm excited about the Saturday edition of the podcast.
Yes, we got a special Saturday afternoon edition of the podcast. Schedules have been what they are, and we are coming to the end of another great BARFF season.
Yeah, we sure are. There's one big game to really talk about and do some a little in-depth coverage of it.
This is the Bracketology episode, and it's going to be the easiest Bracketology that we've ever done. But before we get to the brackets, let's talk about how we get there. Let's jump back in time to last week and NFL Week 13.
Yeah.
And really, there were some teams that were on life support that needed to pick up wins in order to get in the mix for that competition for the 6th spot that I was talking up so much, and it simply didn't happen for most.
No, exactly. I mean, it really, everybody that needed to win to kind of just make sure they secured their playoff spot, they pretty much did it.
Yes.
And so, it was, and convincingly, I may add, as well.
Yeah, let's talk about convincingly as the Whopper Moppers for the first game that we look at. That will be a 174 to 108 victory for the Whopper Moppers when they needed it most. Probably one of the most clutch performances we've seen coming at your expense. Tell us about your game.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, it was one of those over before it even started. I had, not a bad week. It wasn't a horrible week at all, especially with Walker, going out real early.
Right.
So, 108 with a guy, one of my main guys going out early. I had, of course, Deshaun Watson. That's a whole different story with his measly 6 points. But, it wouldn't have mattered. He got 30 instead of 24 points. I'm not even in the conversation still.
Right. Right.
And even Walker throws up. I just got shellacked. St. Brown with 35 points and A.J. Brown 32.
It's hard.
And then the Browns D, I was watching that game and I'm seeing the scores go up and I'm like, oh, it's got to be Watson. Nope. Every time I look, it was a specialty team score. So, yeah. Well, right then I'm like, okay, the writing's on the wall.
The Browns certainly did an interesting performance with their offense basically producing nothing in special teams and defense.
Exactly.
That's pretty impressive.
So, hats off to the Moppers. I'm glad they gave themselves a chance for this week, which, of course, we're going to talk about a little later. But good for them.
Yes, it was definitely a well-timed victory for the Whopper Moppers. Joining us on the line right now is the owner of Sotie Pantloads. Kyle's on the line. Kyle, how are you?
Doing well, Commish. How's it going?
Doing very well, very well. Tell us, as you look, and we're not going to talk about next week just yet, but are you convinced that Whopper Moppers is for real, rising up and putting on a 174-point beating this week?
It's tough. With very similar points for, similar record. I'm hoping this week he just kind of blew his wad early, scored all his points this matchup, and then he has nothing for me. But I got to say, Amon-Ra kind of does, he's the kind of guy that can put up 40 points, no problem.
Yeah,
so,
he sure can.
I'd say, he's got some dangerous guys.
Yep. This is the time, we say this all the time, when you want to get hot, and that's exactly what Tommy did this week. If you're gonna have that performance, this is the week that you want to do it when he's desperate for doing it. So good for them. And again, we'll talk about what that did for Whopper Moppers as we move through the week. Where do you want to go now, Walt?
Well, let's talk, since we have him on the line, let's talk about his clutch victory and very close victory against the dumpster fire.
This was, of all the teams that needed to do something, Whopper Moppers and Sotie Pantloads were in that group, and they are the only ones that really performed in the Sotie Pantloads. Kyle, tell us about your game.
I'm not gonna lie, it was close for a while there. For once this season, I don't know if he's on the line yet, but for once this season, Dumpster Fire made all the right lineup choices, which is happy for him. But still didn't get in the win. But he put up, I think, his season high this past week. But
You still there, Kyle?
Which was the end of our matchup.
Yep. Sorry, I put you on conference call. It cut you off a little bit there. Yeah, you were saying about your win this week.
Yeah, so it was close to one of those 4:00 games. He made all the right lineup choices for once. His season high total. And when it was tied at half of those 4:00 games, I was a little worried because he had more guys and Travis Kelce was doing nothing. But happy to. It honestly didn't change much because even if I lost, if I beat Tom, I'd be in. But yeah, it was still nice to get that one going into the last week.
Yeah. Walt, tell me your feelings about this.
I think he's right. It didn't matter, but I think it's nice to have a little momentum and some confidence going into the last week instead of maybe coming off a really bad week with not much points.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's good, and I think another nice part is, what's the probability of Travis Kelce only getting 7 points going forward from that? So, got that clunker out of the way, too. So, yeah, I think it's good.
On the other side of this game, which is a 138-132 win, joining us also on the line, the owner of Dumpster Fire, who unfortunately fell on the losing side of this equation. Jordan, you've been hoping to score points all year. You've been struggling to score those points. This week you put up 132 points when you really desperately needed it, and you fell just short. Tell us your feelings about this week.
Yeah, that's always tough to see. I always want to play spoiler at the end of the season, but sometimes it's nice to not be that guy to play spoiler. It wouldn't have brought me much satisfaction if I won. Yeah. And, it's a good thing. I made a lot of moves this year to get myself into a position where I can put up more than 100 points. So I'm happy to see that came through, and that gives me motivation for next year.
As well it should. Hold on. We have a chat. Hey, Sotie, huge fan. Take care. This is coming from Anthony Mancuso, who's also an owner in this league, owner of Juggernaut Boston Beans. We'll get to their game shortly, but a little sportsmanship. Oh, God. And also
big
extending
fan of the dumpster fire.
The same platitudes to the dumpster fire. So that's great sportsmanship that we're seeing here in BARFF. The Sotie Pantloads and Whopper Moppers take care of business when they really need to. We'll talk about how whether things would have mattered really one way or the other. But another team that really needed to pick up a win in order to have any viability would have been in the hunt, but really just the wheels fell off. Huey Lewis in the news, falling to worst team ever, 121-72, an uncharacteristic performance in an uncharacteristic year as they fall to 5-8 this year. Walt, as you look at this, it was a really tough game for Huey Lewis in the news all the way down, a lot of single digits. What do you think really did them in this week?
Well, I think it's just the same. It's unfortunately for the last 3 weeks, it's been kind of the same story. Alvin Kamara, he just fell off the face of the earth. Yeah. I don't know what happened. And Gabe Davis hasn't really panned out. And, of course, Pittman against the Cowboys, that was rough. Yeah. Matt Ryan was under duress. I knew that was going to be tough. Yeah. It just the matchups were tough, and it just, again, you lose, your best receiver, and it's tough to recover from that. And, he gave up some capital to get him. Yeah. So, Cooper Kupp, how do you replace that? And it's just,
absolutely.
Right? So.
Of course, the guys that he gave up were basically banged up since the trade. Also, this was a terrible. It was a train wreck of a trade for sure.
It's amazing these big trades when they never materialize into anything.
Kyle, Huey Lewis in the news has been sort of a rival for Sotie Pantloads over the last few years. How do you feel about this season where they fall to 5-8 now and are essentially out of the playoff hunt?
It was a roller coaster for him. He started off bad, and then he rattled off his 5 wins, and then he ended the season on a losing streak. Mm-hmm. So definitely a roller coaster, which I think has been kind of the case for everybody. But overall, a tough year for two of the Titans in BARFF. Glad to see him not making playoffs though. But tough year for Huey.
Yeah, if you're a playoff team, even if they had squeaked in with a 6 or 7 win, getting that 6th spot, you weren't going to want to play Huey Lewis. So a sigh of relief, perhaps, for many owners going into the playoff.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Heart of a champion.
Yeah,
that's why you just want to get in, and from that point on, who knows?
Anything can happen when you get in. Ant also weighs in with his hello to us.
Oh.
And so thank you, Ant. That's much
He's
appreciated.
full of holiday cheer.
He is. He's
Yes,
got some early holiday cheer, which we love here at
absolutely.
BARFF HQ. So let's talk about a team that we had concerns about around the middle part of the season, and who has come on and now is in the dance. The Springfield Rifle. Taking on, and they didn't have to do a whole lot to pick up that 7th win. They only mustered 104 points, which is a concern, but that's all they needed, as they beat the Knuckleheads and sweep them off the table 104-67. Is the 104 points a concern for you, Walt, for Springfield Rifle?
Yeah, I mean, it always is, because once we go into playoffs, 104 points. I mean, occasionally you might get something, against somebody and they have a bad week too, but yeah, you're not going to go all the way to the final if you're averaging only 104 points. It's got to be better.
They need Derrick Henry to pick it up.
Yeah,
5 points from Derrick
second
Henry.
week in a row. Not done much there. So that's concerning. Aaron Jones, too. So, yeah, but Tyler Lockett, though, the resurgence of the Seahawk passing game now. So that could be huge for him.
Led by Geno Smith.
Yeah, of all people.
Geno Smith.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
But he had a good relief pitcher, because he had a couple of scoreless innings on your side of the roster with Lamar Jackson getting hurt, getting a 0. And what the hell happened to Jeff Wilson?
So, Jordan, have you seen a performance quite like this one before in fantasy football, where every once in a while you get zeros, and we've joked about it before. Hey, did he play the game? Well, both of these guys, including my starting quarterback, played some of the game, most of the first quarter. 2 zeros and a 3 from the flex.
Exactly.
Have you seen, from a guy whose team is named Dumpster Fire, have you seen such a dumpster fire that you recall in recent years?
I have not seen a dumpster fire. You'd have to call that like dumpster napalm or something.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, no offense to you, Kamish, but if there's anyone for this kind of result to happen to, it'd be you. On the track record, that's just how it goes. But boy, 67 points.
I could have started bye-week players.
I mean, the Patriots D with 3 outscored the quarterback and the running back.
I mean,
that's like,
yeah, it's unreal. DK did what he could to keep us above that 60-point threshold. He stepped up huge. So, but outside of that, the Knuckleheads go down in flames. We'll be rooting for everybody.
Probably the way to end it, honestly, after this season.
This has been quite a season. And let's talk about the final game from last week that we have not discussed yet.
The Battle of Titans.
The Battle of the Titans. First place and second place team going at it. No lineup needed. Takes the victory 145-127 over Boston Beans. No lineup gets that 10th win, and the only team that's in double-digit wins right now, Boston Beans, falls to 9-4.
Mm-hmm.
Walt, tell me about the story of this game. What put no lineup over the top?
Yeah, I think it's, you got the, I guess, resurgence. You got, Keenan Allen healthy now. So that's a huge for no lineup, getting to plug him in. So he got a nice solid 20. Montgomery is healthy now too, so that's great. So no lineup needed is getting where we all want to be, is healthy at the end.
Yeah.
And really, got all the people that you were planning on starting most of the season anyway in your lineup, which is amazing. Yeah. And then on the other side, I mean, the Beans have a good team, but but Waddle, though, 1 point.
I know
that was shocking.
You've got to see that as an anomaly in a game where you score high. You're overcoming that 1 point from that guy. I'm a little bit concerned with the Chubb performance. Hopefully, Deshaun Watson being in the lineup doesn't have a negative impact on Nick Chubb.
Yep, and I think the opposite. The Beans have picked up some minor injuries. Jacobs was like. They were talking about his hand there. Mm-hmm. I just saw that. Najee, too. Waddle, still a little gimpy. So if I do have some concerns for the Beans, it's the health of his team going into the playoffs. Yeah. He gets a week off, though, to rest everybody up.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand his thinking. He picked up Cam Akers, who we all know is a fantasy stud, and Cam goes for 19 points, which is more points than he scored for the entire time. I had him for like 9-10 weeks, and he didn't put up 19 points. So it's terrific to see that. But, I see this as a blip. Kyle, Boston Beans, and no lineup needed as we head into the final week of the regular season. These two teams are probably going to have buys. Do you see them holding on for the bye? Are these our top two teams?
Yeah, these are the top two teams. Probably probably championship preview this
Could
week.
be.
But
I disagree.
it's tough. Did you say you disagree?
Of course I disagree.
Have you rattled off 3 losses in a row?
Dude, what does it matter?
And you lost Kenneth Walker?
Well, that's a little concerning. Don't get me wrong.
Homer season, baby. It's Homer season.
But we'll see. We'll see. You remember, and I won with Rashad Penny. And I can't even name my other second back from last year. It's Stevenson.
It was Damon Harris. I remember.
Oh, Damon Harris. Yeah, Steven. Yeah, that's right, Damon Harris. So, hey, I can work around things.
I love
Well,
it.
yeah, there's some injury concern for Tony. I'm pretty sure Waddle went out injured this past week. I think that's why he got 1 point. I don't know if he ever came back in the game, but I thought he went out. So his guys are dinged up, like you said. He'll get that bye week, rest everybody up, and he should be good to go.
Yeah, I would think so. Again, 2 real strong teams. I'm sure that they'll finish strong, but let's talk about how people are going to finish as we head into what should be our bracketology breakdown and the discussion of Week 14. But let's just jump into Week 14.
All right.
And there's really let's do bracketology. We have to talk about one game. There's only one game this week that matters in terms of the playoffs, and that is 2 6 and 7 teams. At the end of the day, one of them is going to have the 7th win. That's Whopper Moppers taking on Sotie Pantloads. Kyle, right now the Prodigies have you 124 to 122. It's looking like a squeaker. It's going to be close. Whopper Moppers already got a 12-point performance. How do you feel? Are you confident heading into this week against Whopper Moppers?
Yeah, I think I am. I do think the projections are kind of bullshit. Like, I don't know, like Devonta Smith, 14 points. Like, he's gotten 15, I think, 3 times this year. So I think that is just kind of absurd. I think it will be close. We both have tough matchups, so I'm thinking just a dogfight. I'm thinking, like, both scores will be sub 120. But I do think Sotie Pantloads, big game players, I think they come out on top.
Jordan, Whopper Moppers versus Sotie Pantloads. What's your pick for this week? Who's going on to the playoffs?
I'll give it to Sotie, although I'm very intrigued about Whopper Moppers kind of going all in on the Lions this week.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff could light it up.
Yeah.
Alone, they don't have the worst matchup, but boy, you are right, Bones. This might be the worst matchups for 2 teams all year.
A lot of red.
I would definitely agree. It's going to be a sub 120 kind of defense first, grind it out matchup.
Well, who puts which team over the top this week? As you look at the lineups for this team, they can still be tweaked a little bit for these 2 teams, but strong players all the way around. Do you see a difference maker in these 2 lineups that we're going to be talking about next week?
Well,
Travis Homer.
Travis Homer. I mean, that's the Rashad Penny pickup right there of the year. But I think St. Brown, and that, like Jordan pointed out, Minnesota's defense is not good. Goff is hot. St. Brown is really hot. Those 2 guys might be the difference makers. Now, I think for on the Pantloads side is if Zeke's going to be the guy this week against Houston. Or are you going to see more Pollard? So, because he's got a tough matchup. Diggs against the Jets. Boy, Jets are tough D.
Yeah.
Kelsey against Denver. That's a tough matchup.
Yeah, I think that's Denver's. I think 1 against tight ends. Something there's somewhere up there. That's definitely a red.
But
Insight there, though. Little insight from Sotie Pantloads HQ. We'll have boots on the ground at the game tomorrow with dumpster fire.
Wow.
So we're going to support our guy. Boots on the ground. He's going off.
I love it. There needs to be some level of video reporting done from that game.
Are you gonna?
That'll be fun.
Are you gonna?
We'll get Bones over by the locker room entrance, reaching down, trying to get a football signed.
Oh, nice. I actually was wondering if he was going to try to jump on the horse and ride the flag in at the beginning of the game.
You can do that, but only if you wear your BARFF Podcast baseball hat.
Oh, absolutely.
So this is it. Bracketology comes down to this. The top 5 are set. Those teams are getting in regardless. They can breathe easy this week and do nothing. Whopper Moppers and Sotie Pantloads have to have the best game that they can possibly have this week.
Yeah, I think, like they both said, I think it might end up being a lower scoring affair. I don't like the Kyler Murray, though, against New England matchup. Bones, how are you feeling about that one? That must concern you.
I mean, he's got Connor against New England. Honestly, I think it's worse for James Conner. So it comes down to Monday night. If we're like even, or even has like a couple point lead, like I still would feel better about Kyler instead of Connor going against the Pats.
Boy, another Monday night.
I know, and it could come to
yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah. It's been, when you like an EKG at here in Denver. But
now, I have to ask this of you too. And I was just talking to the commish offline about. I hate these buys at the end of the year like this. Yep. Would Christian Watson have been in your lineup?
Absolutely. Yeah, like that was I completely forgot there were still bye weeks. Like I was shocked when I had my lineup come up for this week and I saw one of my guys was on a bye. So yeah, he would have been in the flex.
Versus Travis
Homer. Right. Yep, Travis Homer. He's our guy. Nothing to worry about. He's going to take that opportunity in stride.
I love it. I wish best of luck to both teams, and I love that we're going to have people at a crucial game.
I do. I love it, and will Dumpster Fire see the House of Pantloads crumble right before them? I don't know. We might be seeing the end of a couple of dynasties.
Send me any footage. I will make sure that it appears on next week's pod. I have that ability.
So I don't think I'm professionally qualified to deal with the meltdown if Kelsey gets shut out in person.
Yeah, he doesn't have a doctor.
You're not licensed. Yes, that's a good call.
I'll text you guys a 1-800 number. You might want to dial that up. So clearly this is the game. So bracketology is over. This is these teams need to win.
Exactly.
The only other game that seems to have some level of implication is your game this week. Well, hold on. Springfield Rifle and Worst Team Ever. Springfield Rifle and Worst Team Ever is the other game that has the playoff implications. Both teams at 7-6. They're jockeying to get that better game in the first week. The opponent at 4th and 5th right now, with Worst Team Ever holding the edge because of points scored. Walt, who do you see coming out on top in this one?
This should be a pretty close game as well. I think Josh Allen struggled against the Jets, but he's got Derrick Henry, which you would think would rebound against Jacksonville. But, Debo now, he's got Mr. Irrelevant throwing to him. So, that's tough with Debo. That's a tough hit. I don't know, Geno, is he supposed to? He was kind of iffy on playing too. So I think the Rifle's got some matchups / potential injuries. And then, I flip it the other way and say, okay, Higgins has been dinged up and, he's got Tyler Conklin in there, which is a bad timing to have.
You want to talk about, and we've been speaking about the late season buys.
Yeah, exactly.
If anyone has any complaint about late season buys right now, it is Worst Team Ever.
Yeah, you lose Jonathan Taylor, Dylan, Dotson, who scored. So, I don't know. I think when it's all said and done, Joe Burrow is the hottest quarterback, I think, in the NFL right now. I'm going to give Worst Team Ever.
I have not been keeping up. This has been an interesting week at BARFF HQ, so I haven't been keeping up with who's been healthy and who's been not, who's been practicing, etc. But I can tell you that Saquon was announced with a neck yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
So whether that cuts into his playing time against a really difficult Eagles D or right now, I don't know that he's going to carry a designation into the game. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Kyle, you're playing for the opportunity to get into the field with this. How do you see this team playing out? Rifle versus Worst Team Ever. Who takes the higher seed?
Like you're saying, I don't think Saquon's going to play. I haven't read any of the most recent updates, but I feel like he's not playing since it's like a neck. I feel like that's kind of something you care about. But the Rifle plays great Team D. His people seem to flounder against him. So I think this week with the buys and Rifle, I think, he's Aaron Jones, though, doesn't he? So I guess he also has a bye week. But I think I'm going to go with Rifle. I think Derrick Henry gets back on track. And he's, like I said, plays good Team D. So I'm going Rifle here.
All right, Jordan, what do you think? Rifle or Worst Team Ever?
I'm going Worst Team Ever here, but it could easily sway Rifle. It just depends on what happens with the big players on each side. If Burrow and Higgins go off, it's going to be a good day for Worst Team Ever. If Derrick Henry takes charge, it's going to be a good day for Rifle. So we'll have to wait and see.
They need Derrick Henry
Yeah,
to not be throwing one of these single-digit games.
Absolutely.
Well, I missed a Sox fan 7687 chat. It's great to hear from Sox fan 7687, number one fan of the show.
Love this guy.
It's clearly going back to the game we already talked about. Clearly picking Sotie Pantloads, claiming that the Whoppers are going to be golfing by December 12th. So that's a vote of confidence for Sotie Pantloads.
Well, Sox fan 787. We all know it's a homer for the Pantloads. I mean, he's a
Travis Homer,
he's a
baby,
devout he's a devout Pantload.
He's a Travis Homer. All right, we've got. So let's talk about your game now. Well, you're coming up against the number one team. And if you don't win, you can fall down into the a little lower in the playoffs because one of worst team ever or the Rifles going to pick up an 8th win. So how do you feel heading into this game against?
Honestly, I could literally go slide all the way down to the 6th.
Wouldn't matter.
Seed with this. If I lose.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
if I lose, Pantloads win. They make up the. We're
Point
really
difference.
close in points.
Yeah.
I mean, I could easily be the 6th.
Wow. That's
so,
a fall.
but again, I could care less. It means
You're
nothing
in.
to me.
Yeah.
I don't see any difference between 6th, 5th, 4th. You still got to beat the teams. You
Yes.
got to beat the best teams no matter what. There's no getting around it.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good matchup. I think, the tough part for me is losing. Probably Kenneth Walker's probably not going to play.
Oh, I don't think he's playing.
Right. I don't either. But Mahomes against Denver, I mean, for me, all I care about is Deshaun Watson, shakes off some more of that rust. So hopefully he's like a viable guy to go forward. Otherwise, I'm in big trouble if I can't get some decent play out of my quarterback position.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm watching.
Jordan, no lineup has Mahomes, Eckler, Keenan Allen, and Tyreek Hill. Are they losing this week?
No. They're not losing this week. Garrett Wilson, too. He's been hot. I mean, no lineup is they're just the wagon of all wagons this year. I don't think they're being stopped.
Yeah. Kyle, what do you think? Who do you have between Born to Run and no lineup?
I think it is no lineup, like Gort was saying. He is kind of a wagon. It's tough. Like, you look at his bench. I mean, even Marquise Brown's coming back. So
Right.
a team that maybe once had like some holes in it,
Yeah.
he's really filled those. So I'm going to go no lineup.
His bench. On the other side, a 13-point projection for Mark Andrews may be low because Lamar's not starting. So I think that Huntley will be looking for outlets more often than not, but we'll see. We'll see. Rashad White is also probably going to have a stronger game than this 9-point projection because I don't see Fournette getting more than 8, 9.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the projections have it close. So, again, if Pollard ain't the guy and you got Elliott ends up being the guy, but like these guys are saying, I mean, and I said it before, every guy Christian had hurt is now getting healthy.
I know.
So,
you did hit the nail on the head. Like, he's exactly what you want to happen over the course of your season.
Yep. So,
Good
So, hey, good for him. He's been at it a long time, and, we've seen that rise of no lineup needed. It's been building up. Maybe this is like these guys are saying. This is the year.
Yep. So we've been talking about games that actually have some level of playoff relevance. Let's talk about some irrelevant games. Let's get on Jordan. Let's talk about your game. You're taking on Huey Lewis in the News, 4-0, taking on 5-8. You're both playing for pride. How do you see this game going this week?
Wait, sorry, you cut out right there. Did you send it over to me?
Yeah, I sent it over to you. Dumpster Fire and Huey Lewis. Tell us your feelings.
Okay. Yeah. I hope I win. Huey's projected for 88 points right now. I mean, this is just kind of the battle of two teams that couldn't get anything going.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Whoever puts up more than 100, I guess we'll just call that a victory for both sides.
Well, what do you think this week?
Well, I'll say this. This game is important in my mind because we'll be doing our end-of-year grades. And
right.
4-10 looks a lot worse than a 5-9er. So,
does, yeah.
I think I'd like to see Dumpster Fire, not just phone it in. And really put the effort here because
I'm picking guys up.
Attaboy.
In the lineup, McManus, both new, slotted in. So we never quit over here.
That's what I like hearing.
Perfect.
Because I plan on being highly critical come the end of year report card.
Just make sure you compare my average points for in like the first 6 games versus the last 6.
All right.
Show some improvement.
There, that's true. Especially last week. Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about a game that might not end up helping a team for end of the season grades as the Knuckleheads take on number 2 overall Boston Beans. This one is it just doesn't look good at all for the Knuckleheads. Kyle, is there a path to victory for the Knuckleheads?
Yeah. I was looking for. Oh, Justin Fields is on a bye.
Yeah.
Trying to be optimistic here, Kamish. I guess your path to victory is that Jacobs and Adams only combined for 28, which I know, like 18 and 10. You know,
exactly.
That's like not too bad for Thursday, but for Jacobs and Adams, that's pretty low scores for them. So
I agree
that's
with
your path to victory is the fact his guys didn't score too much early.
And then maybe Waddle's dinged up.
Yeah.
He does a sub 10 points. That's the path I see, is that he gets some underperformance. I mean, D-Hop against New England, that's a tough matchup. So I think he's got Chubb against Cincinnati, also another tough matchup. So, maybe Kirk Cousins actually plays like he knows what he's doing.
That's 1 p.m. Kirk. That's when he's the best.
Yeah. So Mike Williams, maybe he finally is feeling a little better with the ankle. So
that would be great.
I think it's a possibility. I'm not ruling it out under the realm of possibility.
Well, I sure hope so, because I agree. 4-10 just sounds a lot worse than 5-9.
Not good.
It's not good. Yeah, I would sure like to not go into postseason grades with a 100-point beating on my resume, but it could certainly be.
Yeah, double-digit losses never look good.
It's not.
Yeah.
This season is gonna end probably on a whimper for the Knuckleheads rather than roaring. But we'll see. And then let's see. No, that was it. That's
it.
So exciting times ahead, especially for you, Kyle. You and Tommy will be keeping the rest of us on the edge of our seats. I think everyone is interested in your game. All eyes of BARFF and the sporting world will be on this game, and who is going to get that coveted 6th spot for the trophy. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, I am too, and I like to see people under pressure and the crying, the elation, all the mixed bag of emotions we're going to see as, each game goes on. So I'm looking forward to that. And the pinnacle would be if it did come down to Monday night. That's what I'm pulling for.
I feel like this is happening.
Yeah, that would be a gift.
Yeah,
that would be a gift.
Oh, I love it. This is the drama, all of the emotions of sports, the pain, the elation. It's all going to happen this week. So I can't wait. I can't wait. And plus, if we also have Knuckleheads upsetting Boston Beans, then we have everything that sports has to offer. I'd like to have a good week once in a while.
Yeah, I'd like to see you and the dumpster fire go out on a high note. Right?
Yeah. Let's get those 5th win. Let's go.
Exactly.
All right, that is our show for the week. I'd like to thank Sotie, Pantloads, and Dumpster Fire for calling in from all those miles away.
Enjoy the game.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, Kamesh.
Good luck with boots on the ground tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Let's ride.
All right.
I wish that we had known. I would have shipped you the BARFF Podcast football. You could have taken it into the stadium, gotten some pictures. Damn it.
Kelsey could have signed it.
Right? That
would have been something.
Oh boy, we'd be talking about that for years and years and years. All right. So, and also thanks to Sox Fan 7687 for offering some insight, and thanks for the sportsmanship and grace displayed by Ant tonight. All the great qualities of BARFF coming out in one show. So that's terrific. All right, guys, thank you very much. And that is our show for the night. Well, great show.
Yeah, great show. It was a pleasure. Looking forward to next week.
Looking forward to the next week. Good luck to all.
Good luck, everyone.